I'm the content creator. You might have seen me all week behind my phone. I'm not antisocial, not that antisocial. I'm just working, doing the Instagram. If someone's commented to you, it's probably me. But I'd like to bring out our 3 panelists and ask them to introduce themselves and share what they do.
Would you like to go first?
Oh, yes. I'm Nadia, co-founder of Kollectin. Thank you, everyone, for coming. Well, a little bit about myself. I've actually been in business since I was 21. So I started with no experience out of school. I started my jewelry company, and that company I actually have for 22 years, and I still have, and it's still running. It's called Nadia Lee. And then last year, I'm really ambitious, and it's been a dream of mine to want to start Kollectin and make it actually happen. So now I'm co-founder for Kollectin and making it happen. So that's a little bit about my business journey. Let's see, something personal about me. I have a husband, and we dated for 10 years before he married me. And then I have a beautiful little girl, 3.5, and then I have 2 cute dogs. So, yeah.
Thank you.
Hi everyone, thank you so much for being here. Thank you for my girls who came out to support me because it takes community and sisterhood. I'm Jezlan Moyet. I host America's first live streaming daily talk show. It's called Good Morning Lalaland. Yes, I brought my card from my show. Because, like always, I had to make a few talking points for myself. I also am the managing editor of the lifestyle magazine that we gave out to you guys tonight. It's called Focus. It is a magazine that highlights some of the most influential people in both the arts, fashion, culture scenes, from Malibu down to Manhattan Beach and into West Hollywood. It's something I'm very proud of. I have a background in broadcast journalism. So by trade, I'm a host and I'm a writer. Also a retired fashion model. So I love all things fashion, beauty, jewelry, design. And when I got introduced to the concept of Kollectin, obviously I was obsessed. So it's an honor to be here and to speak to you guys. Something a little personal about me. I'm a Gemini, featuring the Gemini necklace connection tonight. And I was born June 1st, the same day as Marilyn Monroe. So I like to live in her light and her glory a little bit, add a little of her sparkle in what I do. And yeah, that's me. So I'm excited to connect with you.
Hello, my name is Xandrea. I have my own event planning company, but I'm a jack of all trades. If you need something, if you need to meet somebody, if you need something done, if I can't do it, which most likely I can, then I can find someone to do it for you. I am also a brand ambassador, obviously, for Kollectin, which I love. I have all their lovely pieces on tonight. And then I'm also a mother, and I've been married 16 years, and my son is taller than me, and he's only 14, and he likes to remind me every day. And I also have a daughter, so I do all kinds of different things. But my favorite thing to do is event planning.
Thank you so much. I'd love to get to know a little about you guys.
It's
My first
so
question.
weird for me not
I
to
know.
be
I
asking
was
this
gonna
question.
say-
Do I take it from here?
To know that you're a
or-
pro.
Okay.
I hope I do it.
I'll apologize right now if I speak out of turn. That is what I do.
I like to listen. Okay. Okay. My first question, because I like to get to know you guys even more and have a little fun. I have an icebreaker question. What's the most awkward or embarrassing moment you've had in your career?
Should I go first? I guess I'll go
Are you
first.
ready to share them?
Yeah. Early on in my career, when I started doing fashion and doing jewelry, we have trade shows. And, we hire sales reps who go out and sell your line, sell your jewelry to all the buyers. So we had a booth, and it was in New York, and we had a big sales rep group that I've actually met all the sales rep maybe the day before. But then when I was at the show, I actually approached them like, hey, this is my line, would you like to buy it? And she's like, I work for you. I was like, I'm sorry. I was like, so I'm making a point nowadays to remember everyone I meet, just at least the face, and try to remember their names, or at least if they work for me.
Yeah, at least that much.
Yeah, at least that much, yeah. So it was very embarrassing, yeah, early on in my career.
I have countless embarrassing moments, I'm going to be honest. I have certainly been the girl to fall on the runway. I've walked out of shoes. I thought it was a great idea once to be painted and go down a runway. Not a great idea. forgetting people's names, and then there was a moment where I totally like fangirled out, which you are like not allowed to do in my industry. Or when you watch yourself and you get these horrible reviews on YouTube because you're interviewing somebody, you don't remember their name, and they're clearly an A-list celebrity, but it's like it's a guerrilla like war zone on the red carpet, and sometimes you blank out, and you're like, oh my God, you're so famous, and I have no idea what's going on right now, and I am supposed to know. And then all of their fans, they hit you real hard for that. So I've had several, and I'm sure that it doesn't even come close to the amount of embarrassing moments I will have in my near future. But I embrace it, so it's fine.
I would have to piggyback on the names. I'm terrible with names. So I really try to remember people's names, but it just does not work out for me. So I had an A-lister person that I did a party for. Never met them, only worked with their handler. Well, I went to their party, and I was like, oh, okay, nice to meet you. They're like, this is my party. You've been planning my party. I'm like, I never met you. I've only met your team or your staff. And I was just like, thank you for hiring me. But I had never met them, so yeah.
Honest mistake.
Yeah.
Happens to all of us, right?
Yeah. Oh, we could go on and on.
I mean, I would love to. Can we get your chapter? So, my next question, what led you to take charge of your career, your income? Did you always foresee yourself in this girl boss type position? Or like, where did this dream come from?
Oh, sorry. I personally did. I remember before I had my children, I was working like a regular 9 to 5. And I remember telling my husband, this is not it for me. And he's like, this is it for everybody. And I was like, not for me. And so I remember being there, and then I had my children. I was blessed enough to stay home for 12 years. And so in between all that time, I found my girl boss mode. And so I went into all kinds of different entrepreneur activities. And I knew that that was definitely the lane that I needed to stay in. That was what I was made for.
You want to go next?
Sure. Well, I think the best way to create or predict the future is to create it, right? So I started manifesting my destiny from a very young age before I even understood what manifesting was, but I knew what I wanted for myself. And that was two things: to tell people stories and to love my life. And so I made very active decisions to get myself to a point where I was able to do that. And I honestly, I didn't even realize what I was doing until I sit in this moment right now and I reflect back on the steps I took to get here.
That's cool.
How old were you? Just
12?
No.
No, really, yes, I was actually. So one of my best girlfriends, her name was Katie Lyons, and her dad had a video camera. And our favorite game to play was talk show. I kid you not. In her basement, we would play talk show with her dad's video camera. And he didn't know we were doing this. I mean, he was, at work, and we were putting things on his tab at the country club, and then making a talk show about it. And we had a great time. And I had no idea until 20-some years later that this is what I would be doing for my life. And I just was creating something that I loved for myself, and created a future doing it.
Yeah. I always knew. I always wanted to be a business owner from day one. Not day one, like I was born, but like it was young. And then right out of college, like I knew I couldn't get a job. I don't know. I've never tried. Maybe I should have, but I never.
She's so honest.
I love it.
So I think right after college, I took a little tour around Asia, and I'm from Taiwan, so I actually went home to Taiwan. And then I was actually just hanging out by the convention center, and there was a convention center happening, like a show happening. It was a fashion jewelry trade show. I'm like, wow, this is so interesting. So I'm like, what do you have to qualify to get in? They're like, oh, business card, you have to be a foreign buyer, blah, blah, blah. I go back, I make myself a fake car, I'm blah, 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 Nadia from so-and-so foreign company in the US, and I'm a buyer.
I love it.
And then go in. And then I started talking to this small company that had that was the first show, and I'm like, talk to someone who seemed like they don't know what they're doing. So I went there and I'm like, hey, I love this wire thing. They had like a wire bracelet. I'm like, I love this wire bracelet. Like, can I get some samples? So I hustle my way into some samples. I'm like, I'm this buyer from the US, and I want to sell your bracelet. So she sent me a bag of samples, and I'm like, I want it in different colors. Can you make it in different colors? So So it was this guitar string. It's really 22 years ago, but it's just a guitar string, and then you twist it together, and it's like a spring, and then you can actually spray paint it with different color. So I brought it back to the U.S., and then that's how I started my business. I got myself, I'm like, where do I sell? And then I heard from someone like, oh, my dad actually told me, I think they sell downtown at the wholesale mart. I'm like, oh, great, let me get a showroom. Got myself a showroom, and then put some bracelet on the table and started my business.
I love it.
Hustle.
I love it. I love that.
So anyway, yeah, but you're young and fearless.
Right.
If you have a goal in mind, you just do it. Whatever.
I don't know if I was young and fearless. I think I was young and naive for a long time.
Well, that kind of ties into my next question, though. So you have this dream, and whether you are, naive or fearless or both, there's the dream and there's the end goal. But in between that is usually some kind of big scary fear, big scary unknown that you kind of discover along the way. Maybe something that stops you initially from pursuing that goal. What was one of those big scary fears that you ended up debunking? I guess going from naive to fearless.
Not letting, oh, sorry.
No, go ahead.
Oh, not letting fear get in the way. Because I like to say fear is false evidence appearing real. And so I have to still have this self-talk with myself that even if you do fail, you're not really failing, you're failing forward, right? Because you're farther than you were when you started. So even though it may fail or something may not work out the way you want, you've learned things along the way of what not to do and how you would do it better the next time, so you would make sure that you're successful. So I think getting rid of the fear part is a big step of it.
I was never really fearful, but I didn't believe I was worthy. And that was a huge thing for me, because maybe I was naive, as I mentioned earlier, but I didn't believe I was worthy. And I talked to some people, and I really took a step back, and I created what they called a value proposition for myself. And in business terms, that's one of the most successful, or ways to be successful in your business, right? You create a value proposition in the market. Well, you're supposed to do that for yourself. See, and I didn't believe that there was any value in who I was. I had this talent, but I wasn't really worthy of this, and I just couldn't really make that sink in to me until I wrote this down. I was like, what's my value proposition? What is my target? What is my goal? What do I have to offer? How do I marry these two and convince somebody else of this? And once I did that for myself, I thought, I am worth it. I'm not afraid of this. I've never been afraid. I just never thought I was worth it. When I really, truly sat with that for a second and I put it on paper, I recognized it, and that was the most empowering thing.
Yeah. I think being in business and being an entrepreneur, you need to get used to people telling you no. I think that's the hardest thing for you to even though I'm super positive. Everybody who knows me, I'm super positive, always smiling, happy. But there are still days that the no's get to you. There are still days that you just have a really bad day, and you're like, crap, that was a really bad day. But as positive as you are, or as I am, I still stay very persistent. So I'm always telling myself, this is not the end. This is not where I want to be yet. So I need to push myself forward. For me, the secret is always just being persistent. I've turned a lot of no's into a lot of yeses.
Right.
And then you've learned over time, a lot of the no's are really just yes, but waiting for a little bit more.
No doesn't mean never, means not now.
Yes,
right?
Exactly. Yes, exactly.
Right.
So,
and sometimes when you get the no, I always think of it as offering someone a piece of gum. Don't take it so personal. Once I got past the no's, like you said, I was like, okay, next. So I was like, okay, bye. I'll see you later, because I will get you in a minute, but I'll be back to you, and then you just move on. So I think of it that way, oh, they didn't want my spearmint gum. That's fine. I'll bring mint next time.
I still take it a little personal. I think I always will, but that's just me. So.
And people always tell you, in business, oh, you're going to meet all these bad people. You don't want to do business with bad people. But in my experience, if you stay true to yourself and you're a good person, you'll always meet good people. You'll always do business with good people. And there's a couple that will trick you, so what? Let them trick you. So you learn. Next time you don't do business with them.
Right.
But it's nothing for you to say, oh, that was a setback. You just take it as oh, well, there are some people in there that are just not good. But, oh, well, that's not my type. And I only do business with my type of people.
Right.
And in my business life of 22 years, I've met great people. People who helped me, who gave me advice. So it's not as crazy as people say. It's so hard to be an entrepreneur, But I think there's so many people who are so helpful and so loving to share out there that it's, you know, it's just really you. So if you project that, then you'll meet that type of people. So yeah, nothing to be fearful of. Yeah.
Thank you for the answers.
Yeah.
What is something they don't tell you about being a woman in your industry? Was there an unforeseen challenge you were faced with, or has there been an advantage?
Woman in fashion. Well, there's not that many guys in fashion that I wanted to date when I was in the fashion
Makes it simpler.
Yeah, but actually, I don't know. Being a woman and minority woman, I don't think it was necessarily challenging. I think it's how you perceive what that challenge is or that discrimination is. I try to stay positive and think it's not a woman thing. It's not a discrimination thing. Maybe it's something I haven't done or I'm not doing better. And I try to figure out what is it I didn't do that the client didn't want, and then how do I improve myself. So it's never about, I never think of it as, oh, it's because I'm a woman or it's because I'm minority. I don't see myself, as long as I don't see myself as inferior, the other party won't see me as that. And that's been all my experience.
I've really always embraced my feminine divine, if you will, right? My power as a woman, and I use that to my advantage, and I use it with integrity intact. But I have used that because we have an intuition that men certainly just don't have. No offense to the men, but we as women, we know.
That's right.
We know, and I've used that to my advantage. There are disadvantages to being a woman in entertainment, and obviously we know in the times of hashtag Me Too and Time's Up, right, that it's a difficult industry to navigate. But if you do that, owning your femininity and maintaining your integrity, you can totally use it to your advantage because you can invest in your relationships. You can build a community that you can provide and thrive from, because that's what we are as mothers, as sisters, right?
Nurturers.
Like as nurturers, we can do that, and if you do that, you can thrive.
Yeah, I always say it takes a village. Like I have a tribe, I have a village, I have a community, I have everything, because you can't do it by yourself.
No.
And we work together, we are powerful. Definitely.
Absolutely. We rise together. And certainly there are the sisters that are going to try and hold you back or bring you down, or who are jealous or fearful or whatever. And you just have to tune those out, because those don't get to be inner circle.
Right, exactly.
Right? You get to choose who's in your circle, and not every woman deserves that.
That's right.
Right?
Yeah.
So choose wisely.
Good insight. Thank you. Did you or do you currently have a mentor type figure in your journey? Share a little bit about them and what they gave to you.
Actually, I belong to a CEO mentor kind of organization called Vistage. I'm not pitching them right now. But actually, it's been really helpful for me for like 10 years that there's other CEOs who are in different industries who are experiencing the same problems, and we get together every month and we talk about our problems and we share, the journey that as business owners or CEOs, our difficulties with running the business, running the staff, growing, all sorts of issues. So I quite enjoy that. So that group of like business friends are really my mentors. I've been in business for so long. I think it's my turn to be mentor. And like
Yes, you already are, Nadia. Look at all these people.
That dates me, but hey, but I love to tell people, I love to help people. And really, I mean, fashion itself, it's actually a very difficult industry to navigate, and it's not very friendly. But if you have a mentor, it's a lot easier because a lot of things you have to experience, and if someone already knows it and tell you about how to do it, it's much, much easier. So it's now my turn to be a mentor. And I love mentoring, so if you guys need mentoring, it's just like
We know who to
yes,
call.
Yeah.
call.
Thank you for that. Just to play off that, I think my community has served as mentors for me for a very long time. I wouldn't have reached where I've been able to reach in Los Angeles without the group of women who have surrounded me, who have held me accountable and who have lifted me up. I've got great mentors in business. They've taught me to expect the unexpected, to live ready, to say yes, and to move quickly. Because indecision is the biggest thing that is going to hold you back. You will talk yourself out of anything. Just make a decision and deal with the consequences. And I'm a yes girl, so usually I say yes and then I deal with it, for better or worse. Right? So it's a good thing my community around me is like, man, are you sure you're going to say yes to that? But I'm very grateful for mentorship and community here.
So I have both of those. I have a lot of groups that I'm into like that, and we mentor each other. And then I have a community, same thing. They mentor me, they hold me accountable, and then they're like, yeah, no, I don't like that idea. So I'm like, okay, they'll tell you for real if it's a good idea or not a bad idea. Because sometimes you just go with everything, and I constantly have things going on, and I'm constantly planning things, and they're like, yeah, no, not that one, but the other one, that's it.
Yeah, masterminds are super buzzy right now. People are talking about that, and a lot of people invest a lot of money to surround themselves with people who are great in business. But I think if you're really just surrounding yourself with like-minded people,
Right.
even if they're the people on the rise that are already on the top, you'll go there together.
True. Yeah. Thank you.
You each have families of your own and social life, I'm sure. I hope. I know you guys work hard. So, is work-life balance a myth, or is it reality?
No, I think work-life balance is something that you need to mentally and be prepared to separate. This is work and this is family. I always tell people, there's always time for everything. I know you think that you're so busy and you don't have time, but if you really want to make time, you can. So if you want to make time for your family, you can. They're not going to die without me in the office for that, half an hour that I take off early so I can, be part of my daughter's school activity. I mean, you just want to make sure that you are in the mental state to say, hey, this is where I draw the line between family and this is where I draw the line between business. It does take a lot, it takes a village of people to make that happen, but you can make it happen, and it's not a myth. I turn off my phone when I get home. As soon as my daughter is like, "Hey, Mom," then that phone is on silent until next morning. I do get up early in the morning to check my emails, but at least she's asleep, and then I make sure I get work done. But yeah, I know when to separate work, when to separate, family.
Hashtag life goals.
Yeah.
I don't have a partner or a child that I have to care for, so work-life balance, well, they say if you love what you do, you never work a day in your life. So I work pretty much 24/7. I'm a serial socialite, and I don't necessarily have those boundaries for myself because I'm so heavily invested in what I'm doing right now. That said, self-care is wildly important, and the only way we're going to be able to really do what we want to do and really get to where we want to go is if we take care of ourselves. So that is something that I really try and value, is time for myself. And I'm not always good at it, but that's what takes the community. Maybe you should honor that bedtime or try that. Try these eye patches. Just take a moment for yourself to go to the beach by yourself, whatever it is that you need to do to refill your soul so you can show up. Even if you're showing up 24/7, take that minute for yourself.
Yes, so I'm all of the above. So I'm married for 16 years, and I have 2 children, 1 teenager, and an 11-year-old. And so I am huge on self-care. So me and my girls, we're going to Essence in a few days. It's about to be on. I'm nobody's mama. I'm somebody's wife, but I'm nobody's mama. And so yeah, that's self-care. And then with the balance, definitely having to shut it down, because my mind is always going, the phone's going off and messages. So having to find that balance and be in the moment when I'm with them, and making sure that their life is stable and we're doing fun things that they just want to do and not just what mommy and daddy want to do, and finding the balance and all that. So yes, it is real. It can be challenging sometimes, but yes, it is real, and it's possible. It's possible.
I don't like to consider discipline as strict rules. I like to call it discipline because I'm a very free spirit, and discipline sounds terribly boring. Discipline leaves room for rewarding yourself.
Oh,
it's
yeah.
It's not just about make sure you go to bed on time, right? Make sure you get that pair of shoes you deserve.
That's right,
make sure
girls
you
trip.
get a massage and you're investing in yourself,
Right.
Massage is very important.
Oh yes, yes.
I can tell you that.
Oh yeah.
No,